Hey, how y'all doing? It's Craig here again. Uh, I know it's been a little while since we got a video uploaded. Uh, I actually had two videos that I had shot on Kyle's MS660 build. I don't know what happened. Both the files were corrupted somehow. Uh, could not get them uploaded. I tried, downloaded different programs, tried them. Everything I'd done, nothing would let me convert it. It said that the files were corrupt. Uh, so I guess it's just footage lost. But anyway, what I had done after the last video, that was setting the cylinder. Actually pressure tested and vacuum tested the crankcase. Uh, Found a leak. I actually had a leak. Um, and well, actually I had a vacuum leak. It held pressure, but it would not hold vacuum. So that told me I was pretty confident it was the seals, but I wasn't sure which seal. So I tried several different things. I was shooting video of it, trying to show where it was coming from, or actually where it was leaking in through. And I couldn't find it, couldn't find it, couldn't find it. So finally what I done was took a little white lithium grease and just smeared some white lithium grease right around where the seal meets up on the crankshaft on both sides. And I pulled about 7 or 8 pounds of vacuum, and it finally sucked a little bit of it through, and then I was able to see where it was coming from, or actually getting into the crankcase from. It was actually coming from the PTO side seal. So what I'd done was I took my little seal puller that I made, and just nothing more than a screw with a pair of needle nose vice grips, and I pulled that seal out. And when I pulled that seal, what had happened, evidently as I was pulling the case halves together, assembling the case halves with the crank in it, I rolled the lip of the seal and rolled the spring. There's a spring on the inside of them seals. Rolled that spring right off that seal. And what that spring does is keeps tension clear around the seal lip so that you can pull a vacuum. Without that O-ring, or that spring in place rather, the seal will not keep good contact on the crankshaft, the face of the crank where the seal rides. And it'll allow you to be able to pull a vacuum or pull ambient atmosphere right past the seal lip and right on into the crankcase. And that's what the issue was. It held pressure, and the reason being it held pressure without the seal in place was, one, the seals had enough stiffness to them that they also were able to seal against that face, but also when you was putting pressure on the inside, it was forcing that seal down on the face of that crank, or on that journal face where it rides, and actually helping to seal it up. So just because you can put pressure on it and it holds does not mean that it's still good to go. You got to pull a vacuum on them and make sure it holds a vacuum. So I removed the seal, put a new seal in it, and done a second video. And this was also the second video where the file was corrupted and I lost the video. As I was rechecking the crankcase for pressure and vacuum, the second time with the new seals, and I did put both seals in. I put OEM seals in this time. I put the flywheel side in and the PTO side in with OE seals from Steel. This is the first time I've had any issue with the Hutzel Pharmatech seals. Again, I don't believe it was actually a fault of that seal. I believe it was a fault of mine not making sure that it was properly installed when I was pulling it together. I believe I'm the one that caused the issue. But I went on ahead and replaced it with the OE seals. Shot another video. As I was rechecking the pressure vacuum, everything tested good. Went on ahead and finished assembling. And this whole time I'm recording all this. Got it assembled. Shot a little bit of gasoline down the carburetor, 2-cycle mix. Pulled it a couple times and it popped 3 or 4 times. So basically that's where we're at right now. I tried to upload them 2 videos, and come to find out the files are corrupt, as I said, and cannot get them uploaded. Don't know what else to say. They're gone. Hopefully this one will make it. I'm using a different camera today, but here we are. This is Kyle's MS660 Build complete, minus the bar and chain that I will put on after we do the first start. Like I said, it has popped a couple times, but it's not actually ran. We will do an overview of it. Sorry about that, didn't mean to hit the tripod. Talk a little bit about what was done with it, the things that I done. Basically, what you're looking at is the completed power head. I done a little muffler mod. I just took my air saw and got in there and cut that open to make it a little bit bigger. I left this one the original size, this opening port, but this back port I actually cut it open a little bit. Around the seat area of the muffler where the 2 halves go together, I put some aluminum furnace tape in there as a seal. I cut the inside baffle out of the muffler so there's no baffling in it. You can't see it, it's down underneath there, but I also laid a couple layers of aluminum furnace tape down underneath the muffler as a heat shield and up both sides here, just to try to deflect some heat away from the oil tank. When I originally tested the oil tank and the gas tank would not hold pressure. At first I thought it, man, I really got that on there. At first I thought it was around the gas cap there, but it wound up not being there. It wound up being the tank vent. Let me back up. I thought there was a little bit of flash because I had that on the 440. There was some flash down in here that prevented the 440 from sealing up. But that is not what it wound up being. What it wound up being, now you can't see it for the bulkhead in place, but there's a tank vent back in there. The Hutzel tank vent was actually leaking. So I purchased a steel OE tank vent, put it in there. I actually got a video doing that. That's the addendum video. Was able to make the fuel tank hold pressure and let it draw vacuum. Other than that, the cylinder we took, I can't remember right off the top of my head, but I'm thinking we took right at 23 thousandths of an inch off of the base of the cylinder to get the squish area down to a more respectable squish. I've done quite a bit of port work on the intake. Basically all I've done was just got in there, smoothed it out, and opened the inlet side of the intake to match the rubber boot because there was a restriction there, so it's a nice even flow. At the base of the inlet or intake port, I didn't take nothing off the top or the bottom. I just opened the sides up a little bit. On the exhaust side, I opened the sides up a little bit where it exits the cylinder, the combustion chamber, and I gasket matched the exhaust port to the muffler, so that's all one nice easy transfer. There's no restrictions there. And the transfers, I had to do a considerable amount of grinding to them. I had to raise the roof on both sides. They was actually poor quality casting on the transfers. They were the tops were at an angle. There was jagged edges in there. There was a lot of roughness in the transfer passage itself. I had to get in there and smooth all that out. Talked about some of the numbers that I got after I got all the port work done. On the exhaust, I had 165 degrees of duration with the port timing at 105 degrees. That was on the exhaust. On the intake, I've got 177 degrees of duration with an intake timing of 81 degrees. And the transfers, I had 117 degrees of duration with timing on them being 133 degrees. 133 degrees. Everything else went together pretty smooth, straightforward. Didn't have any other issues with it. So what we're going to do here, one other thing I did do, I don't know if I'll be able to show this on camera. Well, I'm not going to take it apart any farther. Where the spark plug comes through the top cover, on the bottom of that top cover where the spark plug shoots through the hole, it wasn't positioned just right, and the spark plug was hitting the bottom. So I just took a sharp knife, and got in there and kind of opened that up to where it would drop down. So now I can actually get a spark plug socket in there. One, I got it off of the spark plug because it was actually touching. Now I can get a spark plug socket in there to get the spark plug out if need be without taking the top cover off of it. Other than that, everything else looks pretty good. Dry system. One other thing here, I just seen this. This piece here, a lot of you probably already know what it is. Some of you may not know what it is. I'm not sure the exact naming that Steel gives it, but this is a door, so to say, for cold weather operation. And it goes in your air filter cover, and it'll set right in here like this, and it blocks off the opening that allows the cooler air from the outside of the saw to get into the carburetor. And in the wintertime, when it's really cold, and I don't know what temperatures, but I know it's got to be pretty frigid out, the saws may not run quite like they did when it was a little warmer. So you install this door here, and that allows it to draw the warmer air from underneath this shroud through this bulkhead filter and then run it through the engine. And it actually helps the performance of it in cold weather. I'll make sure Kyle gets that, and I'll make sure he understands what that's for. Here in Ohio, we get some pretty cold temperatures, but it's not too frigid. You know, we get some sub-zero weather, but that's not too often anymore. So what we'll do now, let me pause this just a second. I'm actually unprepared. I don't have my bar oil, but we'll oil this up and put gas in it, and we'll see if we can't get this thing to run. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Got my gas. As always, shake it up. If the oil is settled out or any of the ethanol settled out with some moisture, you can try to redistribute it, mix it back in. Full tank of gas. These 660s got quite a bit of gas tank capacity to them. little bit of bar oil on it here. I'll fill it up too. Oil tank on these things are pretty good size also. Nice and dry. Okay. Well, let me readjust the camera. And this is going to be the defining moment. See if this thing will run. I did set the adjustments on the carburetor to 1 turn on the idle mixture and 1.5 turns on the high side mixture. So hopefully there's a pop. There she goes. Way rich. Set the idle down. My screwdriver's a little too big. I can't get it back in there. And this in here doesn't have enough stiffness to it to turn it. As you can see, it's oiling good. Or maybe you can't see that. You can see the oil though on the floor. That thing's oiling like a beast already. See if this screwdriver here will fit the idle. Nope. Let me pause it here again. Okay, we're back again. It wasn't the screwdriver. This rubber insert has 2 little channels that go down over the screws. The one for the idle I did not have over the idle screw. It was off to the side. And what I was doing was going clear back and hitting the carburetor body, and that's what was going on. Right there it is. So now I'll be able to turn the idle down. It does turn with this. So we'll see if we can't get it started again here. Now, I think I'm pleased with that. I'll get my tack out, I'll get the bar and chain on it, and I'll do some tuning to it. Have to get some oil dry here on the floor now. But there you are. That's Kyle's MS660. First start. Hope y'all enjoyed. I know I've stretched this build out quite a while. You know, between working, being sick, getting parts, waiting on parts. It's been a good one. That's now the third one of them I've built. Not sure quite what's next on the bench. I've still got my 575 build I want to do. I've still got another MS660 to do. I've got a Husqvarna 372 clone I got to do. Kyle's little McCullough, if I can find parts for it, he wants to try to get it back up and running. I've got a McCullough Mac 3200 over there. I've got a Husqvarna Husky. Actually, I had a Husqvarna Husky 32. I bought it several years ago. And then I ran across a Husqvarna Husky 38 VR at a yard sale and purchased it for like 15 bucks. And that's going to be on the table. I don't know if I'm going to take both of them and try to make one running saw, or if I'm just going to try to make both of them running. But that may even be next year before I get into them. But that's what I've got going on. Hopefully there'll be more videos to come. Hopefully this video here will turn out and I'll be able to get it uploaded. And in the meantime, I'm going to be looking for even a different camera, because I'm actually using my cell phone camera for this. Hopefully this will work and we can get it uploaded. At least you guys can see Kyle's MS660 in its finished form, seeing it run. So there you are. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't know when I'm going to get the next one uploaded the way I'm working. I'll get it as soon as I can. You all take care. See you next time.